Good morning, everybody, and welcome to another Saturday morning and another amazing episode. This is episode 3 of Finances and Fiancés. I am your host, Serene Nunez, your faith-based certified financial coach. What I do, if you don't know who I am and what I do, I am Serene Nunez, and what I do is I help people of faith gain the right money management skills so they can end the cycles of poverty in their life and start walking in the financial plan that God has for their life. Because what you're about to see is everything that affects your money isn't about money. So on Saturdays, I do this amazing um, teaching for finances and fiancés where the two become one in their money. And it's almost like I would say a preemptive strike, right? When it comes to money. And because we know that according to the world, and I'm finding that to be statistically true, even in the church, that divorce rates, people divorce for a variety of reasons, but the top two are infidelity and money. And if you want to have a marriage that is strong, you want to deal with your financial issues early and before you get married. So finances of fiancés is kind of a preemptive strike on that situation. So we're going to be talking about today what is the difference between financial abuse and a good financial arrangement, right? What is financial abuse and what is a good financial arrangement? So sit back and let's enjoy the show. So I was watching this video and I don't think I can share it. I wish I could share it. It was really interesting because um, this video was circulating around for about 2 weeks, and I'm trying to see if I could share it with you um, because it was quite interesting to hear these couple talk.
Because my check
So
direct deposits into his account,
I'm playing it
so
now.
he can like have all the money in one place, and we can save and stuff. And he like has investments that he invests our money into. He gives me an allowance of $100 a week. Like if I need more, I can ask for more, but normally it's just like $100 a week for like food and like random stuff I want to buy. Yeah, that's pretty much it. We both pay for stuff, but he handles all the money as the man should. So we
Right. So that video, I watched that video, and that video was interesting, right? For a number of reasons. And I was going to talk about it last Saturday, but I decided that I was going to um, take some time off and regroup and things like that and spend some time with God, and come back and talk about it now. The reason why I say that story is so interesting is because she made a comment that I didn't hear the first time I read it, and I'm going to address that comment in a minute because she made a comment that the man should run the money as it should be, right? And personally, I don't agree with that, right? And I'm going to address that issue off the bat. And the reason why I don't agree with that is because man is the head of leadership, not necessarily finances, right? And here's the thing: if the man is the head of the household, with all due respect, I have no problem with that. Hey, Benita, thanks for watching. I have no problem with the man being the head of the household, being the leader of my home. But I also understand one thing about leadership is that a good leader knows how to delegate responsibilities. Now, giving my money to a man because he's a man and as it should be is not the reason why I'm going to give my money over to a man. The reason I'm going to give my money over to a man is simply because he is good at it. And good leadership will do, if your man is a good leader, he is a good enough leader to decide whether or not that's something he could handle, right? Because every man is not good with money. Let's be clear. I said, and here's the problem with that. You gave it over to him, which I don't have a problem with you giving, that's your financial arrangement. That's why I said arrangements versus abuse. That's their financial arrangement. I have no problem with their financial arrangement. But to simply assume that he's better with money because he's a male is an outright lie. If he's proven himself to be better with money, because according to the video, he's the one that saves the money, he invests the money, then so be it. I ain't got no problem with that. But I'm not going to turn it over. He's proven himself to be better at it. Right? Okay, fine, granted, no problem. I have no problem with that. Not a single problem with that. But just because he's a man doesn't make him better with it. He just has to prove himself, because I had to be good with money. Because there's no, okay, so for all the single women out here who have no children, I mean, have no husband right now, we have to be good with our money. You know what I'm saying? So that doesn't denote gender, right? That doesn't denote gender, right? So that's the point I'm going to make. That's part of the point, because I didn't hear that other part. Listen to something twice, you pick up a lot more stuff. So I want to, because being good with money does not denote gender, right? Now, here's the thing. After watching that video again for the second time and really listening to it, a lot of people dogged her out. A lot of people in the comments dogged this girl out for giving her money over to a man and taking an allowance. If that financial arrangement works for them, then it works for them. Period. End of story. Now, except for the fact that I'm not going to give my man the money because he is the man, and he's supposed to run the money. Because I know plenty of married men who aren't good with money, and their wives run the business. Their wives run the finances of their home, right? Because they're just not good with it. They'll take it, they'll spend it, and they know they will, right? Now, when it comes to financial abuse is a whole nother animal, right? And some of the women, okay, so I'll go back to the video. Some of the women, some of the comments were, I'm not taking no allowance from no allowance for a man. He gives me $100 a week. I was like, but if I want more, I can ask for it. She said if she needed more, she could ask for it. Didn't mean she would get it, because he ultimately makes the decision about how much money she's going to get after she blows the $100. And I'm pretty sure she has to go through a barrage of questions of what she did with $100 in a week, that she would have to actually ask for more, right? Things like that. That kind of control, that kind of manipulation, right? That kind of control. And things like that. Now, again, we don't know the dynamic of their relationship. When I say I don't know the dynamic of their relationship, I don't know if they're married or not. They don't say. So if they're not married and they're living together, then that shouldn't be so, unless the woman herself, that young lady, is really not good with money and she needs someone to take care of her. There are people out there that need that for them to make a financial decision. And I'll tell you a story about somebody I know that need that man to make that decision for them. They need that money is stressful, or she has recognized the fact that she is good with money, and she wants to be able to manage her money well. So if she's only capped at $100 to buy whatever she need, you know what I'm saying? And I'm not saying that, okay, so $100 for an allowance, what, to get her hair and nails done, which is probably more than that. I don't know where they live at, but an allowance to get her what she needs, to meet certain needs in her life. And she didn't go into detail to say what her needs were. So just she said that the $100 she get every week is to help get her hair paid for, get her nails done, buy her personal products, whatever the case may be. Do you understand what I'm saying? There's a language, there's missing pieces to this. But everybody was like, I'm not gonna put my man in another bank account with my man. And she didn't say if she had access to the bank account or not, or she knew what was in it. There are variables in this, so I can't really speak about what's going on in that situation without knowing all the variables. Because she could be a woman who chooses to take $100, but know everything is going on in her house financially, and that's her choice. That's the arrangement. Do you see what I'm saying? Because I didn't say anything about the video. I just commented. I didn't even comment. I just watched it. But a lot of people went hard on her, talking about, I'm not going to allow my man to give me no allowance and blah, 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 blah. But that arrangement may work for her, because we don't know if that man, we don't know behind the scenes if she knows what's going on with the man and what he's doing with the money. Does she have access to bank accounts? Maybe she had a crazy behind spending habit and she wanted to get under the control. So she's asked somebody to step in and say, I need you to take this money from me and do something else with it so I can get this shopping habit under control. We don't know all the scenarios. All she just said was that this is the way we run our money in our home, and she's quite pleased with it, right? That's what she said. She didn't say anything. Right. But that's the decision that they made, because she's in agreement with it. Because ain't no real reason you're going to get on stage and do a whole video, unless you're doing something for likes, to sit there and say, this is my agreement. They may have made that agreement, but we don't know. But these are the types of conversations that if you planned on getting married, and you're in a relationship and y'all guys are getting married, these are the kinds of decisions you need to make now. What kind of role do you want to play in the financial component of your marriage, right? She's like, hey, Rachel, good to see you, girl. Thank you for watching. I appreciate. Like and share when I go live on Saturdays. Right. And Heather, it needs to be a shared decision agreed upon in the front end. And I totally agree. That's why I say conversations about money before you get married are essential, especially with your significant other, whoever that may be. That's what I mean. We don't know what they agreed upon. Now, there is a thing called financial abuse where you're in a relationship with someone, your abuser. And I wrote some stuff down about it. So I'm going to go flip to that real quick. And financial abuse is basically what happens when the abuser takes control of the finances to prevent the other person from leaving and maintaining power in the relationship. They withhold money, they conceal financial information from the victim. The financial abuse happens often with physical abuse in relationships. And financial abuse can also happen in elder abuse when a relative, friend, or caregiver steals money from an older person, right? Again, she may be in a situation where she wants to be told what to do because in her past, she has not been very good with money. And I give you a story, an example. Or money gives her anxiety, or money gives her worry. I know a married couple, and I know a few married couples. I'll give you two stories, two scenarios. First married couple I know, the wife was good with money. She had learned how to save, get out of debt, so forth and so on, blase, blase. She did everything. Her father taught her how to do everything with money, right? How to get out of debt, how to stay out of debt, how to make a living, all kinds of stuff, right? What to do with money. She marries a man who is careless with money. He is uh frivolous. Is that the word I want to use? Yeah, he was very frivolous with money, you know. And she would have, so what they did was when they got married, she gave him control of the money, knowing how frivolous he was with it and how careless he was, and not really, you know, she was accumulating credit card debt. She was not used to accumulating credit card debt because she always paid off her bills on time. So she was not used to having credit card debt, and she lived with a lot of fear and a lot of anxiety over finances in a way that she had never did before, right? But she gave him control of the money simply because he was the man and the man was the head of the household, right? Second relationship I know, I was a young lady I worked with. She was also married. She was very much in love with her husband. Her husband was very much in love with him. They really loved each other. It was quite clear and evident. But he had told, like, she knew nothing about the financial decisions that went on in her home outside of whatever, right? Now, what do I mean? So, like, she didn't know how to access, not that she couldn't get access, she did not know how to access if she needed to pay her mortgage, bank account information. She didn't know how to access these things, right? Her husband paid all the bills in the house and did all of this. And one day she was refinancing her home, and then we were talking about, because she said the paperwork made her anxiety ridden, right? So I'm sitting there thinking to myself, and we're talking about it. She said because money makes her anxious. Money makes her be full of an anxiety. I said, listen, I understand that you don't mind. You love your husband. You trust your husband. And I ain't got nothing against that. You do you in the best relationship. You do you in that. But you need to know where things are just in case something should ever happen to your husband. You should know now how to able to sign on to the website to pay your mortgage and look at your bank accounts and different things like that. You need to know this information. The reason why you need to know this information is simply because if something happens, you are prepared to handle it. You don't have to be involved with all the day-to-day paying the light, cable, and gas bill. You know, your paycheck goes in, his paycheck goes in, and y'all paying the bills, and he's balancing the checkbooks. You don't need to know all of that, but you do need to know how to have a handle on things that you need to know: the mortgage, lights, gas, car insurance, registration, how to handle all of these things, and when these things are due, and all this other stuff, right? So suffice it to say, over a period of time, she ended up getting comfortable with getting that information and having it on file for her, so that way she would know how to handle it, right? That's a financial arrangement, right? Because she admitted through her own words, her anxiety will go through the roof just to think about money, just to have to deal with all this thing called money, right? And those are financial arrangements, but those are things that were handled or kind of, I don't want to say thrust upon one and not given to another, or did they have conversations about it before they got married, who would handle the money? I'm not sure, but that's kind of how they fell when I met them, how they were in their roles. But before you get married, that's a conversation you should be having. What role did you want to play in this thing, in the compartment of your finances in your marriage? As a woman, I'm not going to give control over a man, my financial life over to a man simply because he's a man. There has to be some demonstration, because to be honest, I really don't want to make all the financial decisions. I spent majority of my adult life as a single mom making a lot of financial decisions, and to be honest, I really don't want to, but I have enough knowledge to know what's going on. I know I have enough knowledge to be like, I want to look at my bank accounts, I want to do this and I do that, blah 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 blah, right? I want to know, I can read the financial statements of a bank account. I can read the financial statements of the investment accounts. I can read the financial statements. I can do those things. Just because I can do them doesn't mean I want to do them. I want that position. But at the same time, my husband has to have the ability to just demonstrate that he is good with money for me to relinquish that kind of control. Because unfortunately, me and God gonna have to have that conversation in a private time. But he has to be able. Now, if he doesn't want that, if he's the leader of my home, he says, "Well, look, babe, I would rather you do it." Fine, I'll do it. Right? I'll monitor the home, pay all the bills and so forth and so on. I ain't got no problem with that. But at the end of the day, it's an arrangement that we have made because we've had several conversations about it. I'm not sure if that group, that young lady video that I just showed you had conversations, but their arrangement works for them. But it's not my job to tell her, well, she's being abused and he's just manipulating her. And if he is manipulating her, that's between him, her, and God, right? I don't see it. And y'all, I said, and then we have a problem. There are some people who function well in that arena. They function well when someone tells them, okay, so here's $200 for the week, make it work for you, because it gives them a sense of responsibility and control for them, the person who's asking for it. It's not like, I don't know if he set the limit or she set the limit. Maybe she set the limit, because it sounded like from what I heard, she set the limit. Hey, this is how much I want you to give me, because if you give me too much money, I may do, I may go and blow it and shop it. So it allows me to manage this little $100 so I can be more conscious of how I spend my money. We don't, but these are the things that we need to discuss before we get married. In other words, even before you are even dating someone and considering marriage, you need to know what kind of role you want to play in the financial arena of your own marriage. Like, what do you want to do? Like I said, me personally, I don't want the burden. I don't want to, even though I am really good at it, because I had no choice but to be. There was one time I wasn't good at it, but I'm really good at it now. Doesn't mean I'm just because I'm good at something doesn't mean I want to do it all the time. It's like washing dishes. It's like the choice between washing dishes and doing laundry. I can't stand to wash dishes, but I can tell you how much I love to do laundry. I can tell you how I love to take my clothes and soak them and get all the dirt out of them and then wash them and then make sure I put the right amount of fabric softener. And if it's a warm day, how I like to hang my clothes out of the line and then neatly fold them up. That gives me, I don't mind doing that. I can do it all day long. I can also hire somebody to do that for me. But depending on how I feel, I may want to do it. Do you see what I'm saying? Therein lies the difference, at least for me. But on the other hand, there is this thing called financial abuse. And then there are some people who are perceived to be that their spouse is controlling with money, right? I'll give you an example. Man and woman are married. The woman is very good with the money, the husband is not. The husband prides himself on the fact that he comes home and brings her paycheck over, like the husband prides himself on being able to bring the paycheck. Oh, child, the downy. Oh, child, and the air dryer. Shoo, child. You see, Ebonita, I learned how to do laundry very early in life. That's why I love it so. Because there's something about clean clothes that make me feel good about clothes. You know what I'm saying? So, but I digress. So I know a couple. The husband works, the wife doesn't. The husband comes home. He prides himself in bringing home his wife his paycheck, right? But at the same time, he's aggravated and he thinks his wife is controlling because she won't let him see the books. But when the wife tries to talk to him about money, he shuts down, right? Conflict of interest, right? Dan, you see what I'm saying? Because in the beginning of their marriage, they never had a conversation about who would do what. And now, mind you, she will show him whatever he asks for. But his greater issue is that um he can't do what he want to do with the money once he's given it to her. Because what she does is she gives it to him. No, he gives the paycheck to her. She in turn gives him an allowance for his week, right? That's the way they arranged it, right? They arranged it that way, right? Then, but when it come time for him to do something and buy a purchase, you know, it's one of those situations where, well, now she won't let me see the books because I need to buy this, that, and the third, and blah, 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 blah. And she's like, no, you can see the books at any time. She's like, but when I want to discuss with you about money, it's kind of like, I'm not your wife, I'm your mother. You think I'm your mother when I'm talking to you about money instead of your wife. You see what I'm saying? That in and of itself is a whole nother gamble. I mean, a whole nother issue in itself. But again, that was a financial arrangement that they made. But when he wants to do what he wants to do with the money, then it becomes, well, you're controlling me. I can't do what I want to do with the money. And that's the real issue. You see what I'm saying? That is because they haven't had conversations about money and who was going to do what with it. Because there, again, just because you are the head of the household in leadership, good leaders know how to delegate. Why do you think Jesus had 12 disciples? To do what he needed them to. Jesus couldn't be, even though Jesus was omnipotent, he is omnipotent, omnipresent, and everywhere. He sent people out in the world to do what he needed them to do for him. That's good leadership, right? God uses people to get things done in the earth. That's good leadership. And Jesus was the perfect example of leadership. He garnished them with the power and the authority to cast out serpents and crush the heads of demons and heal the sick and raise the dead. And he sent them out 2 by 2, and they did their job, and they came back and reported how great the mission was. It is the same way. Leadership knows how to delegate. And as leadership, and if our husband is in good leadership, and there may be things he is good in leadership in one area and he's not good in another. And if he can recognize that, your fiance, oh, I'm good at, like she said, he's good at taking the money, paying the bills, making the money grow, and all that other stuff. He was good at that. That's why she gave it to him. Now, to give it to him just because he's a man denounces her as being good in money as well, because she has the ability to be good as money as well. We have the ability to be good as with money as our counterpart is with money, if we want it, if we desire it, if it's true. But if we don't want it, because some people just don't want that responsibility, it weighs too much. Heavy is the crown. I know making financial decisions in my own life as a mom and as a single person is hectic. Do I do this? Do I do that? Do I do this? Do I do that? Blah, blah, blah. But again, because I partner with the Holy Ghost, it made it that much easier for me because he's my head. If that makes sense. He's the head of me now. And all I do is ask him, and he tells me what to do. I don't ask him, do I pay my light bill and my rent and my cable bill this month? I don't ask him that. That's not what I ask him. I know I'm supposed to pay that. I don't ask him, should I pay my car note this week? I don't ask him that. That's not questions I ask the Holy Ghost. But when it comes to everyday or important financial decisions or life-changing decisions or classes I want to take or things I want to do, I go into discussion with the Holy Ghost because we have a financial arrangement. He is my head. All right. So on the flip side of that, that's financial arrangement excuse me, with the sense that someone's controlling it, right? There's actual financial abuse. And there are some people, unfortunately, who live in financial abuse. There's manipulation, there is control. It is not to be taken lightly. Financial people who are financially abused are people who don't have any control, that the person who's abusing them has taken control of their money and they can't get out. It's a power move. It's a power struggle, because they know if in order to get out of an abusive relationship, people will be like, well, just leave if they're abusive. Well, if they have no means to get out, no money, no way, no transportation, no job, no nothing to get out, they're stuck there, and they knew it. They know, the abuser knows that, and so does the person being abused know that. The abuser and abusee, they know that. So they do that, manipulate them to be and take their stuff. I mean, some people will outright rob them and just take their stuff all together. And they work all week and they just take all their money and they can't get out. And that is nothing to sneeze at. But before you find yourself in a situation, you might want to ask yourself and have some conversations about finances with the person you're dating to see if you can see the red flags of financial abuse. So, if they are into that thing, or if they've done it, right? Some people in their financial abuse will try to get you to quit your job or prevent you from working, stalking you and harassing you at work so you can get fired, refusing to give you access to bank accounts, or hiding or keeping your assets from you. So, for example, my coworker, she's a coworker, her husband did not deny her access to the bank accounts, right? Now, in the video, the young lady didn't say whether she had access to the bank accounts to see what was going on. She just said she put his money in there and she left it there. Now, if he's not giving her access to that, then she's falling under financial abuse. My friend who's married and her husband was doing everything, her husband does not deny her access. She just didn't want it because she didn't want to deal with it, because it gave her anxiety to see all of that. Some people look at all those numbers and the confusion and the wording and the lettering, and they just buckle under pressure. There are others who thrive on that. And neither one of them is right or wrong. It's just the way we're wired, right? But when we're talking about financial abuse, we're talking about, constantly questioning your purchases and making you make and demanding to see the receipts, giving you a set amount of money to spend and no more. See, some people will consider that man giving her an allowance abuse, right? I would not take an allowance from a man. That means that either you may think she's being abused, because a majority of the comments were about, I believe, were about her taking this allowance, right? But then again, if she suggested it, she get an allowance, then that's not abuse. But if he told her, "Yeah, I'm going to give you only $100 a week," then I question that. I go out here, I work as hard as you do. I'm not going to take only $100 and put it all in the bank for you to do what you want to do with it. That's not going to happen. And me not have access to it, not to be able to see what's going on, not have a card to go to the accounts, none of that stuff that I can swipe and use and go to store, do whatever I want. No. Now, if she chose it, that's between them. That's an arrangement. But if he dictated it to her, you're only going to get this, and this is what you're going to have, and that she did not make that clear in her video. I made the decision to get a $100 allowance from him and allow him to manage the money better, or whatever the case they're doing with their money, then that's a totally different story. So that is in the wording. She said, I take it. She never said that he told her. When someone's telling you how much money you can have, that is when there's a problem. Okay. So then, stealing your identity or filing fraudulent tax returns with your name attached to them, selling property that was yours, falsifying insurance claim with your name on them, not paying child support so you cannot afford rent, food, and other orphan needs, forcing you to open up false credit lines. I mean, the list is pretty extensive, but most people who financially abuse you try to prevent you from making money. And the reason why they harass you in your job, so they'll can fire you, so you'll have no choice but to depend on them. Or they make you direct deposit, your accounts, your paychecks into their accounts, and you can't have access to it. You ain't never got no money, and this, that, and the third. Financial is about manipulation and control. and there is a difference. But before you get married, before you even begin to date, if you're dating or not dating, or you have a fiance, these are the conversations you must be having. You have got to notice what the red flags are, because the financial abuse doesn't happen when you get married. The financial abuse happens when you're dating. But because we so in love, or they're narcissists, and what's the quote they use? What's the term? That love bombed, where we cannot see the red flags about the money because we're so in love, or you too afraid to bring up the conversation. You're too afraid to bring up the conversation because you're so in love, or not even so much in love, you're so fearful that if you bring it up the conversation, you might scare them away. Then that's on you, and that's your issue. And you have to be bold enough to know the questions to be asking during your dating season, if you're dating, during your engagement season, when you're actually getting engaged and have a fiance and you're planning out your life, so that when you roll into marriage, the roles are already defined and set. And they can change, but there you have at least an outline of who's going to do what. Because it's the assumption that the woman's going to take care of the kids is the most false assumption, when having the kids was a two-part party that both of y'all are involved in, and that man needs to step up, even if he did work all day, and step up and help take care of their kids just as much as you do when you work and take care of those kids. You know, if he takes care of the kids and giving their bath, you cook the dinner. If he, vice versa. But these roles that we think that because the men is in head of the chart, and men is head, there are some leaders out there that roll up their sleeves and get down and get dirty with their employees. They work with this alongside their employees. These are the things that, as leaders, when you are marrying, especially if you're a woman who's married, if you're a woman who's marrying a real man, let me be clear, you are marrying a man, a real one, then you need to observe his leadership skills as a leader and as a financial leader. Is he good with money? And if you're a man marrying a real woman, you need to look at her money and look at what she's doing financially. And these conversations go beyond what's your credit score, because your credit score is not really an indication of how good you are with money. It's just an indication of how good you are with debt. Do they have debt? What it look like? What are their views about investing, and are they living up to the words that come out of their mouth? Is the other thing. Oh, each person living up to the words. I know somebody right now who's very good with money. They're decent with money, right? They don't have any debt or any issues, but they deal with poverty. Their mentality is poverty. Is that bad? For them, no. For me, yeah. The reason why is because I don't have a poverty mindset. So I can't convey to you the future of things to invest in, because if you believe investing is fake, or if you believe um it's gambling, like people go, like I've heard people say, well, I don't invest in the stock market because it's gambling. Really? How? When I have a return, there's no guarantee on my investment, but I'm more likely to get a solid return on my investment than if I was to go to Vegas and gamble $1,000. I can lose $1,000 in 5 minutes in Vegas, but I can place my $1,000 in the stock market for 5 years and see an increase of 10% a year for the next 5 years. You do the math. I don't know, but that's just me, right? But you have to know the mindset of the financial mindset of the person you are. First of all, you got to learn your financial mindset. What areas are you strong in? What areas are you weak in? That's number one. Then you have to learn. Then each of you, if you're in a relationship and you have a partner, you each should know each other's financial mindset, their financial mindset, how they feel about things, other than how much money you make and what your credit score, and how much money you got in a bank account, and what your 401k plan look like, and stuff like that. Because how they think and feel about money is how they're going to interact with it, and that's how they're going to interact it with your money. All right. So I guess you have to decide at the end of the day when you are dating someone that you are, because even in the dating a surrender. Okay, so listen, I don't care if you go out here and go on dates, right? I don't care about that. But the person you are dating, like you're seeing, and that they're courting you, right, for marriage. You're going to have these conversations. Is my point. You're going to have to, but you have to be steadfast and sure about who you are in the area of finances, and in the area. I'm speaking for finances because that's what I am. I'm a financial coach, but you have to have that. Your mind has to be set. What kind of person you are? What is your money management skill? Yes, type. There is an actual money management types. There are a bunch. There are four money management types, and you have to know what yours is. You have to know what your own thoughts is about poverty, gambling, poverty, wealth, um making money, the seven streams of income, passive income, or you know how you feel about money. The topic of make a topic of talking about money makes you anxious. Would you like to be comfortable in talking about money? I mean, even it to not when I say talking about money, I'm not talking about money to talk about to other people. I'm talking about in your own right. What happens if you're in a room of people and they're talking about money? Do your ears perk up? Because I could be in a room with a bunch of people talking about money and how to make money. My ears perk up. I say for other people, it's, oh my God, the anxiety of it all. You have anxiety attacks. The mere thought about talking about other thing other than your checking in the saving account just drives you crazy. There are people like that. But if that is you, that means that there's some things you need to do now to prevent that from happening. Because when you are married, money is going to play a huge role, and you cannot let the enemy in through the money, right? There's a if marriages end if marriages end because of infidelity and money, or money, that means that the enemy got a foothold in it, meaning that the enemy had a foothold long before you got married. But it's because you got married these issues came up. These issues were already there in the marriage. If you look at a married couple and they say that one of their reasons they didn't divorce is for finances, guarantee you the financial issue they're getting divorced from didn't manifest when they got married. It was already there when they got engaged. And they didn't deal with it in an engagement stage, in the premarital stage, and became one in money, right? And then when it rolled over into marriage, it just blossomed and it became bigger. The honeymoon phase wears off. The thing you loved about them the most, you can't stand about them. They suck their teeth. Um you fall into a routine. You have some kids and life is nothing but routine after routine after routine. And then he looking for a little spice, she looking for a little spice, and next thing you know, this opens up the door for this open up the door for that, and everybody's opened up the door, and the enemy done got a foothold in it. But the enemy already had a foothold because you never closed the door in the beginning. Hopefully that makes sense to everybody. So so okay, so that's it. I think anybody got any questions for me while I'm going on to this before I head on out? And as a financial coach, that's what I kind of do. I help you navigate your life about money. I help you navigate your life. So that way, when you meet, you can spot certain behaviors. I can spot I was talking, when someone tells me, if someone's talking to me and I can tell where they are emotionally when it comes to money, mentally thinking, the thought processes, and emotionally, right? And when I hear someone tell me you're too expensive, I already know about that. I already know about that. I already know what's going on in their mind financially, because I know. It's because when you have a certain, when how do I say this? When your mind is renewed to money, and the way you conceive money and the way you think about money, whatever you have in your mind and in your heart is going to fall right out of your mouth. It always does. Never misses a beat. Tumbles right on out. Right. And because it tumbles right on out of your mouth, then you're just going to automatically accept what comes out of your mouth because it's already ingrained in your heart. So when it comes to money, if you are fearful, I give you an example. This is a true story, and this happened long before I was saved, and it has never happened. It doesn't happen now. I had just finished. So my daughter's 20, so we're talking about over 20 years ago. This is my true story. Um, I had just finished working on my credit. I had just got my credit up to a great standing. I mean, I could buy practically anything at the time because my credit was in great standing. Right, I had paid off all my credit. I had great. I had A credit. I had A plus credit. It was really good. I meet a man. My family, my kid's father, my three youngest children's father, and he was an interesting person. I'll just say that. Was he abusive? Yes. Let's say that. We can say that, right? Bump it. Might as well be as transparent as I possibly can be. He was as abusive as he was abusive as he could be. He was very verbally abusive, emotionally abusive, and probably in any point financially, right? And how I know this simply because, and I'll tell you how I know. Hindsight is always 2020. So I'm sitting there with him and we're dating, and one day he asked me, can he wants to buy this particular car, and but his credit wasn't all that great, and so forth and so on. And he asked me to co-sign for him, and I told him no, I wouldn't do it. Keyword, keynote, no, side note. If anybody asks you to co-sign for them, the answer is no, because that means they don't have the money to pay for it. In the note, just a side note. I don't co-sign for my own kids for nothing, and will I not ever, not ever, not ever, not ever. And now that may sound cruel, but it's true. So he was like, I told him no, I wouldn't co-sign for a car, wouldn't help him buy a car, whatever, whatever. Then he begins this spiel of manipulation, and the spiel went look something like this. Well, if you do it, if you love me, you'll do it. No, that's not what his. It was something like that, but I think the words he used was, um, what did he say? He said, all right, you don't have to help me, but when I get the help from somebody else, don't ask me where it came from. Right? Now, me being unhealed, I barely knew Jesus at the time. Being unhealed allowed that fear to allowed fear to manipulate me to doing something that I really didn't want to do. And I co-signed for him. And not only did I co-sign a car, I think I took 2 loans out for him as well. Yeah. Yeah. I did all that. Yep. Sure did. Ain't gonna lie. Did it. Sure enough. Right? Did it. Then times change. We're still together. Times change. I get pregnant with my first daughter and so forth and so on. So eventually what happened was he got the car repossessed because he couldn't afford it. Literally. He couldn't afford the car. He got it repossessed. Within months of getting the car, he gets it repossessed. Right? And he gets it repossessed. He he gets the car repossessed. He doesn't pay on the loans. They're in my name. And I get pregnant with my first daughter because I have 2 daughters. I get pregnant with my daughter first, but we're still together. So at some point between my first and second son, my first daughter and my son, her brother, I have to file for bankruptcy. I filed for bankruptcy to get all of the stuff my credit is now literally practically ruined. I was surprised I had gotten an apartment on my own because my credit was so janky, but I did. Got this apartment, moved into this apartment, and I had shortly after that I had to save myself from eviction. I had to go through bankruptcy because I couldn't handle it anymore. So I filed for bankruptcy, and eventually ended up paying the bankruptcy off. Now, mind you, the kid's father is still in the picture. We're still together, and now either it could be my fault that I did not demand that he help me pay it off. Probably not. I probably didn't demand him to pay it off or tell him to help me pay it off, but he didn't help me pay it off. I ended up paying off my whole bankruptcy by my whole self. He did not help me at all. All right. But at this time in the relationship, I'm not like I'm completely and totally checked out of the relationship. He's just there because I'm just living my own life, raising my own kids and so forth and so on. But I realized later on, that it wasn't the fact that he didn't control my money. I didn't have an allowance. He didn't stalk me at work because he was too busy working himself. It was certain behaviors that he had, and it was certain behaviors that I had. But there was a spirit inside of me that invoked certain things: fear, loneliness, what was the other one? Abandonment issues, things like that were invoked inside of me, right? These things lived inside of me. So one day, God takes me through great healing, deliverance, and things of that nature. So what happens is someone else comes along, dated someone else, and same thing happens. He finds himself in a situation, he needs help. He doesn't want to help me, but his words were very manipulative. And when I listened to the words, I was like, why does that sound familiar? Right? But again, me being silly at, you grow, you learn, so forth and so on. I ended up doing the exact same thing, right? And after I did it, I regretted doing it, right? And that was the moment, and that was that at the moment I realized that I needed to get more deliverance, get this stuff out of me, some residual stuff, some residual um some a residual of manipulation and control. Because when someone can manipulate you and control you, there is a residue that's left on you to be allowed to be manipulated and to be allowed to be controlled. And if you think it's not in you, you'll be surprised what's in you when the situation arises, right? And I thought, again, like I said, I thought I had that was it done, but it wasn't done. It came up again anyway. Long story short, I'm now free because I know the language that someone is placing. And it's not the language, it's the spirit behind it. I know when someone's trying to manipulate and control me to get me to do something that they want me to do that I don't want to do. It is the spirit behind it. I have understood it now. It's called the gift of discerning of spirits. I know it. I know when someone's using language to try to manipulate me to do something, or trying to control me to do something that they want me to do. And I call it out. I know what it is in the name of Jesus. So now I can't, if someone, I try not to be dull in my senses, or get dulled in my senses. I try when dealing with men or even women in, in certain arenas, how do I want to say this? There are people who can talk to you, and while they're not maybe manipulating you, you may feel it's manipulation, right? There are people who are talking to you who know how to manipulate you, not because they themselves know how to manipulate you. It's that spirit inside of them that knows how to manipulate the spirit inside of you. That is why when we deal with people, we deal with them in the realm of the spirit, and we get this, we get the gift of discerning of spirits, not the gift of discernment. There's a gift of discerning of spirits to know the spirit that's operating behind them. I can, like that, my kid's father cannot come to me today and use that same line on me, because I already know that what that is. And it's just not like type of party. He can try and ask me for do things, and I'd be like, no, I'm not doing it, and don't care about how he feel. Well, I get it from somewhere else. Okay, cool. Bet. What do I care about this? Right? But when you operate heavily in rejection, when you operate heavily in especially rejection and fear, right? And you have abandonment issues and different things of those natures, those things begin to play out, because the spirit in them will connect to the spirit in you, and it will do it, and they communicate. Because what? Oh, my son thought he was looking for something. Because you know, you have a spiritual eyes, spiritual ears, right? You hear their words, but the spirit or the intent behind what they're saying is picked up by your spirit. And if your spirit is not connected to the Holy Spirit, then you're going to move in the spirit of manipulation and control that controls you and keeps you in bondage and keeps you separated and keeps your money janky and messed up. All right. So that's all. I think this was it. I guess that's what I was supposed to release until y'all got. So I hope you understand now that why is it important for you yourself to know the role you want to play in your financial life now, the role you want to play in your financial life when you get married, when you're discussing these things with your partner or your fiance. And if you need help with discovering that, of course, you can always get with me. I am a faith-based certified financial coach. That's exactly what I do. I help you gain the right money management skills that will end the poverty, that ends poverty in your life, and have you walking in the financial plan that God has for your life. Because everything that affects your money isn't about money. I don't think I put my link in the comments. I will. I'll put my link in the comments for my website. And that's it. Anybody got any questions? And you can schedule a 45-minute consultation with me. You can always schedule a consultation with me you can schedule a 45-minute consultation with me. Thank you for guys for watching. I'm going to see you guys next Saturday for another amazing episode of Finances and Fiancés, because I also do one for Money Mindset Monday here on YouTube as well. This year I'm going Finances and Fiancés is going to be something I'm going to be doing all year long. Like, I'm going to be spending a whole year dedicated to this. Every quarter is going to be something new. An aspect. And then also developing a kingdom wealthy mindset is also something I'm going to be doing all this year. So I do on Mondays, I do Money Mindset Monday. And this series is called Developing a Kingdom Wealthy Mindset, because having a wealthy mindset is the first start. Because they say wealth starts in the mind before it ends in the pocket. So you might as well get your mind right so you can have the expansion for your pockets. And then on Saturdays, I dedicate my Saturdays just on YouTube. So follow me on YouTube, like and share, follow me, click on the subscribe button so you can get notifications when I go live. But I always do Finances and Fiancés on Saturdays. I think it's a great topic. I think it is Hey, thank you, Rachel. I think it's a great topic. I think it's something that is much needed in the body so we can prepare our money for marriage. In other words, that's what this is about. Have for y'all to start having these conversations with yourself first. And so you know what to look for in a potential husband, right? And know what your role is going to be in the finances. It is not he's the man, he's going to take over, I'm just going to raise my hands. No, you are culpable, because your name is going to be on documentation. Trust me when I tell you, there's nothing worse than being a wife who doesn't know what's going on in her own home financially, and her husband won't share it because he wants to be sneaky and controlling. You know what I'm saying? And here's the thing, his sneaky and controlling didn't appear when you got married. It was always there. Me either, Rachel. I can't wait to see how this grows. His sneaky and contention was already there. You just chose not to ignore it. Or you did see it, but you were too afraid to address it because you thought he was going to leave. Your fear allowed you to get the best of you. And God requires us to move not in fear, but in wisdom. All right. So I'm done for Saturday. It's 11 o'clock Eastern Pacific Standard Time. I am about to bounce out and enjoy this great sunny day here in LA. Yes, it's sunny here in LA. I can't wait. So I love you all, and I will see you guys next Saturday at 10 a.m. Love you. Talk with you soon.